Rams is here. Jacqueline's here. Mabu's here. Danny sends his regrets. Jen's here. Aaron Beal is not here.
He's Mexico.
Sorry?
He's in Mexico.
He's in Mexico. Okay. Ali Caladine is not here. Taylor Quinn is here. Dylan Latond? Dylan? Nope. Okay. Andrew Beauty? JD is here. Rebecca Hayworth? Rebecca? Did she? Okay. Oh, you're right. I have my regrets. Michelle Bernard? Michelle? Perfect. Thank you. Michelle is not here. Ding Feng? Giovanna sends her regrets and has a proxy. Jamel? Caitlin Lowe? Julian McGuire? There you are. Amelia McKenzie? Adrian? There you are. I'm lost now. Here we go. Hannah is here. Is someone here for Sydney Miller? Is Allison here? Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Dan's here. Yep. Daniel, sorry. Anemona? Anemona Agata? No. Hema is here. Leah Staples? No? Okay. A lot of people absent. Not so good. The person just gave me a proxy form for David Livisser. Sorry, what's your name? Abby Barton, right? Emily Whalen is here. Our new DAGS president, Nazneen. Yeah, there we go. Very exciting. And Vishwa Patel. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Took me a little longer than usual. Okay. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda, which was sent out to everyone in advance. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes.
Yes, Rams, please.
I'd like to strike the food board discussion, please.
Any objection to striking the food board discussion item?
The reason for
Yes.
Oh yes.
It's a good idea.
Oh yeah, we need to run it.
Okay. Technical difficulties? They want it to be duplicate. There we go. Okay.
All right.
So, any objection to striking item for discussion D, food board, from the agenda?
Yes, because At this point, we could have a discussion, but there's more documents that I want to present to council, and so especially around the plan around the is it like essentially like a motion, the mandate? You know, I want to send that to council in advance so you can have an informed discussion because you don't actually have enough to go on right now.
So any objection? No? Okay. So stricken.
And it's actually the same logic for the next item as well, the CRO Elections Committee, because I was hoping to have a discussion on how you want to tackle elections policy this year, but we actually would like to actually was a very good point raised by our Vice President that the outgoing CRO's report hasn't been even been looked at yet, so we should look at that before we actually have a discussion. So,
Any objection to striking item for discussion E from the agenda? So stricken. Other amendments to the agenda? Okay. Then if there's nothing else, the agenda is adopted as amended. Moving on to approval of minutes from our previous meetings.
could we actually? Okay.
You want to do secretary first?
I don't know. Do you think about announcements? Moving the thing from item discussion to announcement.
Okay, so the minutes for May 28th were sent out in advance. Are there any corrections to the May 28th minutes? No? Okay, if there are no corrections, then the minutes for May 28th, 2014 are approved as sent out. The minutes from our last meeting, June 18th, 2014 were also sent out. Are there any corrections to those minutes? No? Okay, then the minutes from June 18th, 2014 are approved. Moving on. Item number 4, as you can see, our normal recording secretary, Josie's not here, so we'll need to appoint one for this meeting. So, I guess nominations for the position of recording secretary pro tem are open. Oh, sorry, I can't see you. Yes.
I would like to nominate Nagar.
Nagar. Oh, hi. Last name? Nagar Amrani is nominated. Any other nominations? Okay. Now let me get my nomination thing. No, we surely don't have to do. Yeah. Sorry, folks. Okay. Even though this is pro tem, I suppose we should follow the procedure for appointments. So, Nagar, would you like to speak on your behalf?
Okay. So, yeah, I'm Nagar Omrani. I'm doing my council coordinator for DISA. I've done this before. I took write minutes. I have the experience to write the minutes, and I have the samples. If you want, I can show you and share. And yeah, that's it. I'm doing my undergrad in civil engineering.
Any questions? Okay, in the interest of time and absurdity, I have unanimous consent to skip the in-camera debate that would normally take place for an appointment. Thank you. Unanimous consent is given. So since there's one vacancy and one person, unless there's a call for a yes or no vote. Great, okay, Nagar Amrani is appointed as recording secretary pro tem. Perfect, thank you. Sorry? Yeah, sure.
I'd just like to interject that actually our former secretary has indeed left us for a better, more lucrative government opportunity. And so online, dsu.ca/jobs has had the council secretary position open for applications, and we're currently accepting nominations. Accepting applications for the secretary position for permanent full-time council secretary. So please encourage everyone to apply, and hopefully we'll have Nagar is just replacing in pro tempora, so she's our placement for this meeting, but we hope to have a new council secretary moving forward. So yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the appointment of the faculty representatives to the Academic and External Affairs Committee. The full composition in terms of reference of which were sent out in the council package. Before we get to the full nomination thing, are there any questions about the committee itself? The terms of reference were and the policy were sent out in the package, but just in case. Yes, Daniel. Oh, sorry. Yep.
When is the first meeting? Is this on?
Yep.
The first meeting of the committee is meant to be, I'm hoping for the 21st to 22nd of July, but I couldn't set a concrete date for a meeting without having appointed all the committee members first. So it would also pretty much depend on who is in the meeting and a doodle poll of when people are available.
Hannah.
Would it be okay if I nominated someone who is on co-op term now and is living in Truro, but would be here in the fall?
If you could have someone temporarily. What I just said was that if we, as long as we have people to meet quorum and to kind of take place in the committee going forward until September, I would understand if people don't have someone from their faculty right now. It's up to the committee, but I would think it would be acceptable that come September, a couple members might change due to availability.
Okay. So.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
I'd actually written down in my notes that participation by email might be a thing over the summer for this committee for a couple of people if it's totally impossible for them to be here.
Okay. Any other questions in general about the general composition of the committee or anything else like that? Nope. Okay. So the vice president, AE, the president, the student senate representatives, and the student BOG representatives, we don't need to appoint because they exist already. So now we will appoint one representative from each faculty within the university to the committee in alphabetical order of faculty, I suppose. So we'll start with agriculture. Jen has a note on this first. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd actually tried to be in touch and was in touch briefly with agriculture. We're not going to be appointing a representative for them today. I'm most likely going to be driving out to the agricultural campus in the next 2 weeks because we have to discuss their Senate appointments and this and every other committee that they're part of ipso facto by being on Senate. So it's kind of understood that they're not going to be appointed today. So the first one alphabetically would be architecture and planning. We're not ignoring agriculture. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that that is not the case. That will be seen too.
So we're going to do it at the next meeting?
Hopefully at the next meeting.
Okay.
It's dependent upon communication with Ag Campus, getting out there and working with their constitution to make sure everything is fluid.
Okay. All right. So no agriculture. So architecture and planning. Nominations are open.
Sarah Donaldson is our faculty rep for architecture and planning within our group. So
Oh, where's that mic?
Sarah Donaldson would be the representative, but she'll be leaving in September, so I don't know how practical that is, but she'll be at the first meeting whenever that's.
And we know that she would accept the nomination? Yeah. Okay. So Sarah Donaldson is nominated. Other nominations? Going once? Yeah.
I had heard from Yute Lee about being on this committee, also from architecture and planning, because of his work with Planifax. He was curious about the academic and advocacy aspect of it.
Is he on?
Right. My question is, if you have someone who's designated to be on it currently, then that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think planning also has someone that's on it, but I don't know who that person is.
Okay. There are a number of societies that have pre-designated positions within their constitution that would say that this person is, let's say, example, you have a vice president academic as part of your faculty society, it might read within your constitution that that person is to sit on all academic affairs committees under the union. If you have that person, and we've been mentioning this from May, they would most likely be the person to sit on this committee. If you've spoken with them and you decided your constitution that's not explicit, you have someone else, that's wonderful. And if that person doesn't exist, it could be, as we've said, anyone from within your faculty. So there's that designation. If that designation doesn't exist, anybody from within architecture and planning. Very straightforward.
So are you nominating Yute Lee?
No, not if there is someone that already has the position.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So currently the only nominee is Sarah Donaldson. Other nominations for the architecture and planning position on the committee? Going, yes, Hannah.
I'm confused why we're nominating people if for positions that their constitution says they have. So I'm kind of unclear if their constitution designates the person, like, would it be an option? And do we know which societies have that? Like, which positions are available for nomination?
Yeah.
As the rep on council, you're also within your constitution. If you aren't within your constitution, you are now, and you were elected by your society. So it actually falls in your constitution, and you would be the people to know whether or not this person exists. If they don't exist, as I said, then it's open. Anyone in the faculty can be here. If they do exist, they're constitutionally bound to be on academic committees. Like I said, it's also up to like reading into your constitution. If the constitution reads and it's not explicit, they're meant to be on this academic committee, not necessarily all of them, fine. If it specifically says they are to see to academic affairs of the union, of the society, then they would be on this committee. So it's up to you as the council reps. This is your constitution that you're reading into. If the person exists, they should be on it. Again, if they don't, anyone from the faculty. And the appointment, if you don't know whether you have one right now, it's July, that's fine, I understand. Appoint someone temporarily, that's okay. As long as they represent your faculty, they'll be able to represent your interests, and then you can work on it over the next few weeks.
Okay, good. So other nominations for architecture and planning?
Well, they just said they have someone.
Yeah, I said other nominations.
No, there can't be.
Oh, yeah.
No, if they have someone in their constitution, it's that person.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's one in the planning constitution and there's one in the architecture. There's a lot wrong with their constitutions. and
That's a
I'm
very
trying to
unique
work
case.
through it.
That's a very unique case. Yeah, let's just
Yeah.
accept what we have right now, Sarah Donaldson, and move on.
This
Yeah.
is done by each faculty in architecture and planning according to universities.
Yeah.
According to the university, is considered as one faculty. So whether or not two faculty sites exist, that's okay. I would love to interpret it as having two people from architecture and planning. So if planning has their own person and like that's how you guys are working it right now, I would fully welcome that. But as long as we have at least one person from what the university considers that faculty, I would consider that perfect. That's not. We're here to figure things out with everybody. That's our job.
I sense that JD has an answer
I'll run JD.
or a question.
that was-
All right.
yeah, question.
He had a knowing face.
No.
Just in the interest of speeding things up, who here from the faculties will actually need to nominate somebody at this meeting and does not have an automatic appointment? This could save a lot of time.
I can't even see the faculty signs.
3. Great.
Okay. Super. All right. That does save a lot of time. Good call. Okay, so Sarah Donaldson is our temporary rep. So until we figure out what the constitutionality for architecture and planning is and what their own constitution says, we'll proceed as if this was a, yeah. Okay, cool. So it'll be Sarah Donaldson then. Cool. Arts and social sciences. Does arts and social sciences have someone? Yes.
We have a vice president academic, and Allie Graham has voiced interest in joining this committee when Jacqueline first thought of the idea.
So Ali Graham.
So Allie Graham, she's actually, I had that position last year. She's pretty well constitutionally bound to do it.
Okay then. Then there's no need for us to carry on. Computer science. Computer science? Is the computer science rep here? That would help. No, we don't have a computer science rep. Okay. So I don't know what we want to do with that. Do we want to postpone it until we have a computer science rep?
If we don't have quorum from these appointments, then we'll have to reappoint at the next meeting or continue appointments at the next meeting.
Okay. So
Constitutional rules.
yeah. So you'll contact the Computer Science Society, and we'll leave that alone until we hear back from the society, since their rep's not here. We don't have a rep. Dentistry. Yes, Hema?
Commerce falls under management.
Yes. Good question. Dentistry. Dentistry. Yeah. Oh, right. Abby's a proxy for David, so this is sort of a surprise. Yeah. Okay, so maybe this is
Okay, I have a question. So we have like DVSS and like
yeah.
and then we have a DSU rep within that.
If you don't know the Constitution, you can't say unless you have someone who, just.
Yeah, so maybe this is one that we'll postpone this one as well until we can get to David, who's the rep, and get him to check his society's constitution.
Can I make a comment?
About what?
About like, because I have everyone's constitution.
Oh.
That like if people need help reading this over, they could email me and I could offer that. Like,
Now?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm worried about.
They're
Okay.
like 30-page documents. No.
Yes.
But that is something that I could do
Yeah.
this week.
Jacqueline. Yeah, sorry, Taylor, you had a question?
Going back to what JD said, just for the interest of time, maybe like we could, for the reps who are here who know that they don't have someone in their constitution and we have to do nominations, we'll do that now. But for all the other faculties that have someone that's a natural fit, that person can talk to Jacqueline after the meeting, just so we don't have to. We've already spent, I think, 15 minutes on this and got through only a couple, and it's pretty just cut and dry.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's holding us up is people who don't know whether or not they do have someone. So we're just trying to get that figured out. But Jacqueline, if that's all right with you, and that's all right with the rest of council, then that's how we'll proceed.
How would people feel about just passing a list around the table and giving it to Jacqueline? Aside from the ones that need to nominate.
Okay.
This is why I'd prefer to just go down the list and get everything down orally. And if someone doesn't know, then we'll skip it. And if anything's unclear, then we'll skip it. But
yeah.
I just want to get it down.
So we're going to continue to just read down the list. If you have someone, tell us who you have. If you don't, and you don't have someone to nominate, don't worry about it right now. Let's just get through the entire list.
Yeah. So dentistry will skip. Engineering. Yes. Yeah.
I would like to nominate Kyle Brown.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Kyle Rao.
Is this a constitutionally required thing, or you don't have one?
My understanding is no.
Okay, that's fine. So.
He is our VP academic though, and sits on many academic meetings, but this one isn't specified.
Okay, good. Okay, so Kyle Rao is nominated. Any other nominations?
I was actually emailed a nomination from Giovanna Celli.
Okay.
Did I say her last name?
Yeah, I think so. Selly?
Sally. Thank
Okay.
you.
So Giovanna Selly is also nominated. Other nominations for the engineering rep? Going once, going twice. Okay. Nominees are Giovanna Selly and Kyle Rowe. Okay. Is Kyle here? Okay. Well then, we have no time for we can't ask them questions because neither Giovanna nor Kyle is here. So I guess now we have to have our brief in-camera debate. I hate this appointment policy. But yep, no, it's true. We got to do it. So I'll ask all our guests to leave the room, please. Wait, seriously? It's an appointment. the name. Need to put two name written. Everyone can see the name.
We get the names of both.
Yep.
Yeah, can we put the names up on that screen there?
Can everybody see that? The two names of the candidates on the screen?
Right, so the nominees are Kyle.
Not even a little bit, huh? Okay, let's zoom in, yo.
How do we spell that? How do you spell Kyle's last name? Okay, so it's pronounced
How about that?
Rao. All right, the CH is silent. And Giovanna Selly.
Any other information you want on this ticket or just the name?
Just. Just gonna leave this over here.
Yeah, please.
Is the vote optional? Yes. I can't. Please vote. Whenever the host gets bored, the color gave you a crayon. No wonder we run out of fish all the time.
Yeah.
And I missed some over here.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay, I got everyone. I didn't miss a ballot. Everyone's voted. Super. So that we don't take up even more time, can I? Well, no wait, we're gonna lose people. It won't go that. It won't go that. It won't go that long. Wait, do you want? No. It won't take that long. Okay.
Not technically. No. I mean, if there's absolutely no one that exists in the faculty to do it, then that's the case. But otherwise, no, not on me. It doesn't have to be someone. No, it doesn't have to be someone on your council
Yeah.
or like on your society. It can literally be anyone within the faculty.
Actually, this is also something like I can just like tell everyone this. So I have copies of all of the not on me, but I have copies of all of the constitutions. And so if anyone is unsure whether or not it's in their constitution or not, send me an email and I can go through it. We can go through it, whatever you prefer. If it's in the constitution that there's a rep for the academic affairs committee, then that's mandatory. Like regardless, it's mandatory to have someone for the committee. But it'll just mean like maybe you already have someone that's supposed to be sitting on this committee, or maybe you need to find someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we'll deal with your society directly.
This committee, I think, just like as a side and spot of information, when I was working with like the dentistry, the fee, I'm completely blanking. Sorry.
Okay.
No, when they had the consultation last year with the dentistry fees and things like that. Oh. When you talk about the 36% rise and like the fact that the insurance fall down all the time, like this is the kind of committee that would see those sort of things. It's like Ben Lawler last year was fantastic. Like if someone like him with that type of interest wanted to be on this, I literally, guys, have a pile of all the policy that this committee has created over the past few years. Like this committee can do real things for your faculty. It's the academic and external interest. It's pretty broad and it's pretty helpful. That was Dentistry was one of the big ones for me last year. That and talking to people and then going and sitting in on these consultations was one that got brought up a lot. It'd be really, I'd be happy to have some. And it's definitely relevant.
Okay, thank you for being so patient. 18 votes were cast. Giovanna received 13 votes. Kyle received 6 votes. So Giovanna Selli is appointed as the engineering representative on this committee. Fantastic. Moving on to graduate studies. So do we have do we have a constitutionally required graduate studies rep? No? No one knows? Go ahead.
I think there is nothing explicit in the constitution, but I'd like to nominate DAG's president, Nazneen Sultana, for the committee.
Sorry, it is specified or it's not?
No.
It's not specified. Okay, good. So, Nazneen, do you accept the nomination? Nazneen Sultana is nominated. Other nominations for the graduate studies position? Going once, going twice. Okay. The nominee is Nazneen Sultana. Nazneen, you can make a statement if you like, not exceeding 4 minutes. It's up to you. Hold on. Yeah.
I'm Nazneen. I'm doing my PhD in civil engineering and just currently being elected as the president of DEGS. I would like to know, I'm not sure about what would be my responsibility yet. Just I'm getting into the constitution on all the stuffs currently. So I think I will try my best to do the stuffs I have to do.
Any questions for Nazneen? No? Okay. In-camera debates. Okay, then. Okay, now we're supposed to have an in-camera debate.
There must be an easier way to put this.
Yeah, all right, can I have unanimous consent to not go into an in-camera debate and move directly to a vote? If you object to this procedure and think we should have an in-camera debate, please speak now. Okay, we have unanimous consent. So, since there is only one vacancy and one candidate, unless there's a call for a yes or no vote, if you wish for there to be a yes or no vote, you may speak now. Okay, then Nazneen Sultana is elected by acclamation to the graduate studies position. Health professions, we don't have a health professions rep yet, so we will postpone this one until we can coordinate with that society. Law, Leia's not here, so.
She's another one that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Got in touch and her name's Lee, and Lee said yes to being on this committee.
Oh, okay.
As I think she said she's a president of law.
Staples, the same. Yeah. So she's there. Well, she's
No, Anthony's the president.
Yeah.
So who's being nominated?
Lee.
Okay. Lee Staples, who's also the law rep for council.
Sorry. This is not necessarily from their constitution, no, but she nominated herself. So in lieu of knowing the constitution, we're going to have her on it, look into the constitution. If there is someone there, as we've said in every other case, that person takes their place in the committee.
Okay. So Lee Staples is nominated, but are there any other nominations? Okay, she's not here. Can we skip the in-camera debate? I ask for unanimous consent. Thank you. Call for yes or no vote to elect Lee Staples. Going once. Okay, Lee Staples is elected to the law position by acclamation. Management. And I guess commerce.
Faculty of Management. Commerce falls under it.
Right.
Again, not me, university.
Okay, so is there a constitutionally prescribed representative? Do we know?
Like we have a VP academic and they have a VP academic, but like it's not like it doesn't mention which one of them sits on this. That's why I asked. But, like,
Okay.
it said it would be management. So.
All right, so it's open. It's not that we don't know, it's open. From the faculty. So
I can nominate.
yeah, all right, so we'll open it up.
Emily McCaughey.
Emily McCaughey is nominated for the position of management representative on the committee. Other nominations for management? Okay. And we know she accepted. Okay. She's not here, so no speeches. There's only one. Sorry, were there any other nominations? No, so Emily McCaughey is the only nominee. Once again, I would like unanimous consent to skip the in-camera debate session of this appointment. Thank you. Unless there's a call for yes or no vote, Emily McCaughey is elected by acclamation to the management position. Medicine. Do we know if the Medicine Society requires someone to do it? That's the required rep. Okay.
So I'm fairly positive it's Marissa LeBlanc, who is the VP academic, but I guess I'll put her as a temporary representative until I can confirm. Is that all right?
Just noted for commerce? Yeah.
Okay. Temporary rep until I confirm.
Okay, sorry, what was her name?
Marissa LeBlanc.
Marissa LeBlanc. Okay, so unless there's any objection, will Marissa LeBlanc will be considered as the medicine rep unless the medicine, what's the name of the medicine Society of Medicine Students? Give it the society. Okay, well, so Emily will check with the medicine constitution. Yeah, and then if that's a conflict, then we'll bring it up next time, but otherwise, okay, we got it. Marissa LeBlanc, medicine rep. Super. Science. Yes, do we have a person who has to do it?
No one is constitutionally bound.
Okay, so then we'll move to an open nomination. Nominations are open for the position of science.
I would like to
Representative.
nominate myself.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I don't have your name.
Amelia McKenzie.
Yes. Amelia McKenzie is nominated. Other nominations for science? Going once, going twice. Okay, The nominee is Amelia McKenzie. Amelia, you may have 4 minutes to speak to council if you so desire. All right, cool. Yes, questions? Where's that mic? Go around.
I'm just curious whether you made this public to everyone else because you're nominating yourself. Just curious.
I expressed interest during a meeting of the outgoing and incoming executives, but I'm appointing myself temporarily. I will discuss with the current executive.
Okay. Other questions for Amelia? No? Okay. I would like unanimous consent to once again skip the in-camera debates part of the appointment process. No objections? Fantastic. Then unless there's a call for a yes or no vote, Amelia McKenzie is elected by acclamation to the position of science representative. And finally, CCE. Yeah, go ahead.
CCE is the College of Continuing Education. They don't historically participate in most DSU council things. They're just on the list of faculties from the university. They're not to be appointed to this council. That shouldn't have been on this list. This is just like a very, very standard list of faculties.
Okay.
So that's
my
not an
mistake.
issue.
Then we're done with that appointment. Breathe. Everyone can breathe. Okay, moving on to presentations. First, the presentation. Oh, what's up? Yes.
Just for Kathleen, if we could move the O-Week presentation to the top of the presentation list because she's the really only one that doesn't have to be here. And might want to let her go so she could do more O-Week stuff.
Any objection to moving the O-Week coordinator presentation to the top? Then let it be done. Okay, time for the O-Week coordinator presentation. Yeah, that's what I thought. Take away. Okay, don't worry, they're gonna take us an hour.
Click or should I click?
Oh, I'll just point to you.
Okay, cool.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathleen Reed and I am the OEEC coordinator for 2014. So just a little bit about exactly what Orientation Week is and why we do it. Orientation Week is meant to serve as, thanks John, is meant to serve as a safe and inclusive way for all first-year students to be welcomed into the DAL community. So basically we run everything from events that have to do with their faculty to with residents or off-campus life, so community-based events, and it is a 4-day thing that goes on in the beginning of September. Like I said, we achieve this through a variety of events and facilitation through student leaders, so it's all through the DSU and therefore student run and student led. So this is kind of a schedule that we have come up with so far. These are mostly the main events, and when I say main events, there are a lot of other events that, yeah, that's good. There are a lot of other events that also go with Orientation Week that aren't on the schedule yet because they're still in the works. So if anyone here is familiar or has participated in O-Week before, it's fairly similar to when it was last year, just because we found this worked really well. So on Sunday, you have a lot of just general programming in order to make friends with other people. So on your move-in, that's just time to actually move in residence for people. And then off-campus students have time to meet friends. And then field party, is a party that we throw outside in front of the Henry Hicks in the quad. And then housewarming and dinner has to do with like meeting your house and meeting the people that you're going to be spending a lot of time with that year. And then we have a huge party in the McInnes room right over there for kind of school spirit and stuff like that. That's just Sunday. I'm not going to go over the whole schedule. If you guys have questions, you can shoot me an email after my email. I'll include it later. But yeah, so that's the main schedule so far. Awesome. So one of the main purposes of O Week is to include everyone from like first years from all different places and stuff. So making sure that we have enough events for every different kind of person who attends O Week. So last year we started a new subcommittee that was called Alternative Events, and that was basically to realize that not every student likes the same kind of event. So what some people might like, as in like the Black and Gold Night party that I described, which is really just a big dance party for people who like to get into school spirit. Some people might not like to attend that, so some people might like to go to a more low-key event. So we've changed alternative events this year to simultaneous events, because we'd really like to make sure that people realize that if you're not attending the main event, that doesn't mean you're going to be missing out. There's just events that go on at the same time instead of an alternative to the main thing. So this year we've planned not only alternative events that go at the same time, but we've also planned events that are running through the entire week. So things like morning yoga, you can wake up and relax with some yoga, or we have bike tours to kind of tour Halifax. The list there is kind of like an example of things that we've started to plan, and there's a lot more coming as well. Another thing that we decided to do this year is try and involve societies a lot more. So that's one of the main things that we came here today to do, is to make a call out to societies. If you would like to get involved, and if you're not already involved, please contact us, because we'd like to see your involvement at things like field parties. So if you want to set up a booth or something like that, or if you'd like to get involved with things like the Olympics is an event that we have. So like the Rowing Society and all those different kinds of more like sport affiliated societies will be involved in that. So if you'd like to get involved, please, contact me. That'd be awesome. So this is one of also the really important parts of orientation week. We understand that coming into a new setting can be like a really scary experience for a lot of students. So making sure that students feel safe and students feel accepted into the community. So the main thing that way we do this through is through our leaders. So anyone can sign up to be an orientation week leader as long as they're a Dalhousie student and they're not in first year. So when they apply, they go through an application through the DSU website, and it comes to us, and we make sure that they're suitable through the questions that they answer. All the leaders have to go through a couple different things in order for them to actually be able to lead. So they go through an online training. The online training is really focused on 3 different sections. So we have an alcohol section, we have a sexual abuse section, and we have a diversity section. So making sure that students are aware of the different kinds of students that are coming in and how to deal with more difficult situations. We also have Leader Camp, which is 2 days right before orientation week. So Leader Camp focuses on all of the events and everything they would have to know in order to come to orientation week. So like when events are, what to bring to events, what to do if a student gets in a certain situation. So we go through pretty much everything that you can think of in terms of being a leader and what it takes to be a leader. The main thing that we really look for in our leaders is just having a lot of school spirit and looking for people who really care about the students who are incoming. We consider Dalhousie to be kind of community, and we really want people to like portray that and push that forward. We also have a leader contract that they have to sign. So the leader contract basically states that they can't drink alcohol during the week, they can't consume any other kinds of substances, they can't have any sexual relationships with first year students incoming, and this just makes sure that we really present forward not only professional relationship with our students, but a welcoming one, so no one can feel anything bad like hazed or any kind of bad experience for them, because we wouldn't want that to happen. And lastly, we have a lot of expectations for our leaders. So if you're a leader, it's a really good thing to have on a resume in the future. It's a really good thing to have just kind of in your back pocket for an experience. So for leaders coming inwards, our expectation is that they keep a really professional experience for the first years and make sure that everything goes well. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of progress that we've made so far. So we formed an orientation week planning committee in May, and a couple of them are over here. And the committee is just really committed to making sure that orientation week goes smoothly and all the events run smoothly as well. So we are 100% making sure that all the events go well, and also we're going to be there for the 4 days of the week and leader camp as well. So as I said, it's totally student run, so making sure that all the events are good to go. We've been starting to communicate with leaders as well. So after they applied, we've sent out our first email of what they are expected to be, so when they're expected to be here, what they're expected to do in order to be leaders. We've also started communication to first years because registration is open. So we have a lot of incoming students registering for orientation week so they can go online and purchase their packages and get a ticket to come to O Week. And that's also through our website at orientation.com. And if you go through the DSU website, there's a link there. So if you guys have any questions about actual orientation week and the events that are going on, they're super detailed in the website online. So just making sure that we have everything that the students need to know. As well, there's FAQs and contacts and everything on there that you would need to know. So that's about it for what we have started so far. We're well on our way to having our whole week scheduled, and more importantly, all the first years are coming in. So we're really excited, and that's pretty much all I have for you. Oh yeah, you guys have questions that can happen now as well.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
It's all right.
What about first years that aren't first year? They're I'm a first year. Right. This is my first year at Dow. I tried to get into a week. I didn't get a package because it was I don't want to hang out with 4,000 18-year-olds.
That's a really good question. We've actually have emails about that as well. So like I said, we're looking to make orientation week able for everyone who are new to come into orientation week. So we have different options as well. So if you look at that was the main event schedule, but if you look online, there's a lot of different alternative events that are happening that could be more suitable for people like yourself. We actually also encourage all international students to come to orientation week, as well as people who are just around the Halifax community. So we know that international students have their own orientation week, but we make sure that it's planned at a separate time than ours so that they can come to ours as well, just because ours is very community-based and Dalhousie-based. So if you're looking for something a little bit more low-key and less party-oriented, then that's definitely there for you as well. Any other questions? Yeah.
My questions is always related to section campus. What's been planned for section campus?
I'll just stay here. Is that cool? At Sexton campus, we have a lot of events going on. Our number one Sexton campus event is HF Explore. Actually kicks off at Sexton. So we have all of the first years come to the Sexton Fields, right outside the gym there. And that's where our opening ceremonies for HF Explore start. So HF Explore is kind of an amazing race around the city of Halifax, so people can get to know the city that they're living in. It's on the third day. And yeah, so people just go from place to place, but they start at Sexton. As well, we have our closing ceremonies of Dow Olympics happening at Sexton. And that's going to be, I don't know if you guys have heard of Run or Die before. It's that dye party where they throw powdered dye on people. So we're going to be housing that at the Sexton Field as well. So we try and make sure that people are coming back and forth from place to place. On the first night of house socials, we have 2 different residences down at Sexton, and we usually have a pre-planned house social event there. So last year we had a big movie screening of the new Superman movie in the gym there, and that was pretty well attended as well.
So you said you got the run and die event on the section field. So I'm actually hoping to see really more things with respect to events on section field, because it's especially when we need to get the word out about section campus, we need more events on section campus. So I would really like to see the orientation with using the field properly. Like what I mean to say is having events there so that we have more students coming to section campus and figuring out and understanding what section campus is. That's the only point. Yeah.
Hopefully those couple events do that.
Other questions?
Juliet.
Speaking to you wanting more involvement at section campus, like Kathleen pointed out, like I am part of the OEC as well. Kaylin is as well. And if you want more stuff there, you can. We'd be happy to hear contact from you if you have any ideas, because you understand the space more than we do. You know all the locations inside. You understand what capacity would be on the field and stuff like that. So even if it's as Kathleen was describing, we have simultaneous events. If it's even we can put on a couple sports games or something that people can come down and see, or we can put on a game in the gym, or we can give them like even a tour of the location. We'd love to do that, because a big part of what we want to do with orientation week this year is focus on the orientation, like let people know where everything is in their buildings. And like I'm not an engineer myself, but I grew up here at Dalhousie with a lot of engineering friends, and trying to hear them describe how to get around section campus is ridiculous. So definitely giving students a tour, especially if they are first year engineering students, that would be definitely something we would love to work into the orientation week. And help from section campus, especially the engineering groups, would be phenomenal. So definitely keep in touch with Kathleen or anyone else involved with orientation week for that.
Thanks. Any other questions? Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on to the 90-day plan of the president.
All right, folks. This is my 90-day plan. Given just for for the sake of brevity, I amended the detailed version, which I will actually send out as a PDF file along with all of the other executives' 90-day plans, so you can disseminate it amongst your constituencies as well. So I should expand that actually. Nobody can probably read that, I imagine. By the way, I'd like to disclose right now, I'm not digging this room at all. After the tea room, I don't know. I feel it's a bit, yeah, I don't know, yeah. Maybe like we'll try council chambers again. If there's only like so many councillors. So. What are you trying to do? Could somebody just help me like go through this? Like just press the down button because there's a lot. All right. So essentially, I'll try to walk through each of the core actions that I was working on over these 90 days. We're halfway through the summer, so the greens parts are stuff that we've accomplished or are pretty close to being accomplished, and the yellow ones are currently still in progress, all the way going down. So stuff like Senate committee, deferring schedule of Senate committees, getting Senate caucus rolling out, working with Jacqueline on that, getting that was a to make sure that was that went through. The alcohol advisory committee, deferring the schedule of those committee meetings. Those are coming up. Setting up Podia, which is a very, very integral internal office system that we're using for staff to communicate better with the executives, and vice versa. And we're actually using it for best practices and keeping institutional memory. Is this even worth people to following through, or like does this just look like green and yellow to folks in the back?
It looks like green and yellow.
Green and yellow? Interesting. See, I was gonna print these off and give each counselor like a thing, but that was like a lot of paper, so. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I can walk through the important ones. Here's the thing. So yeah. Yeah, I had no idea it'd be this small on the screen.
Oh, just stretch it. Keep going, Rams.
All right, so equity hirings, just helping with the craft the job descriptions for the equity staff. That was the exact opposite.
This is a weird trackpad.
Yeah, it's inverted, by the way. You have to keep. Yeah.
Oh, great.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that. Yeah.
It kind of works.
Yeah. Technology. Anyway, graphic designer. Crafting a job description for that. I mean, we hired replacement. Governance improvements, and this is there's essentially a lot of gaps in our governance, and this will be an ongoing project. This is as you've seen from our council meetings and from other systems that we have around our policies. Like there's a lot of gaps when it comes to meeting deadlines. For example, the appointment of this committee, it shouldn't have been this hard, for instance, right? But so what can we do in the future to prevent like this sort of to smoothen the process? et cetera, et cetera. So this is a conversation I'm actually going to bring up again with council later during the year as part of like a governance review. And so yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. Communication resources, so improving those such as our mailing list, website upgrades, getting more street team resources, for example, like a cart and stuff like that. So facilitating that for the team. Stakeholder relations, holding regular monthly meetings with various stakeholder societies in the union. So we started doing that, with various societies like law, South House, engineering, et cetera, et cetera. But dentistry, medicine. But we want to develop a system that you can actually manage and actually follow up on a lot of the asks and representation and lobbying asks that the societies make to us. And then we're going into summer bus pass feedback. So we spent a lot of time collecting feedback from societies on the feedback and its implementation and administration and the messaging, and we worked with the university on that. And this feedback will be used in Metro Transit negotiations and in the future as well. So there's University Avenue pedestrianization project. It's slated for the fall, so I've been working with the university staff on figuring out what's needed from our end, and there's actually it's looking pretty good. We're trying to have some sort of landmarking ceremony and stuff, so let's see if that pans out. So yeah, working with Dal Urban Designer and Nathan Rogers on that. So council meetings, trying to create more organization and availability of resource information around council meetings. You'd be surprised how little we have to work with. So essentially, for example, putting up the committees online. I want that to happen very soon, and other things like that. So there's milestones here which will be included in my detailed plan. So each of these are general items that will has detailed steps that will be included in the detailed plan. So I'll go through the general items faster. Council appointments, just making sure appointments are done in a timely fashion, the ARC and whatnot. Policy review, there's 4 years of backlog policies we'll be shoveling down, which are actually listed in the revised policy schedule that we'll be handing out. Food service review, examining our food service operations just to make sure they're environmentally, economically sustainable, because there are concerns. Let's see if the current model is meeting our needs. Start a renovation plan, so figuring out the situation with the plan and bringing it to council and BOG approval, and it's an ongoing process. Member services setup, so helping set up the member services logistics system, so with our feedback processes, wellness room, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hands-on volunteer recruitment project. And there's a budget review process that we're actually working on as well. And Mahboob's taking lead on that. And so basically making sure that we examine departments for to make sure they're in line for how resources are being spent and they're in line with our strategic priorities. Department 125, for instance, is a key one. Section office hours, holding weekly office hours of section. They're currently Fridays on 2:30 to 5. I've been out of the town for a while, so I haven't been there for a bit, but I hope to resume now that I'm back. Divest DAL. So working with Rob and Divest DAL and a lot of divestment on a divestment strategy, and I hope to have more information on that for you as well, even for the DSU. So we're following up on the commitment that council made last year around divestment. Now, creating union charter values, so working with the executives, council, and staff to determine a charter of rights for students, and and developing core values so we can actually help meet those rights. So as a student, you're entitled to, let's say, knowing where your money goes. That's a very general one. But ultimately, how can we make sure that transparency exists, right? So we need to have that core value that we make sure our budget goes online in a timely fashion, and et cetera, and materials are printed. So these systems aren't there. We have to implement them, right? So. Now, staff relations, so working with the general manager to employ various means of aligning executive and staff goals together and improving the cooperative relationship with them. So we have a few ideas around that. Judicial board, so now the judicial board is established, we got to, craft that chair, peel for the chair and get everything going with that. And now essentially we have a body that we can always refer to for binding agreements, for binding decisions or just advisory, for an advice. Executive summer retreat planning, yeah, this is actually on hiatus, but as you can see, I was hoping to plan it by June 1st. We're way overdue. But ultimately, we need an executive retreat so we can brainstorm on a lot of our higher level functions, and so the executives can decompress as well. Conference software acquisition. I'm working with Evolve to acquire live streaming software because it's come up repeatedly. DASA is unable to attend these meetings, so I think it's a priority item. So board of governors, determining schedule for BOGs of the year and developing an action plan for the caucus. Caucus members are back, so we hope to resume our meetings. SNS relations, and so working with since we are part of Students Nova Scotia this year, we were acting with them in good faith, and we're trying to participate as responsible board members. Board of operations, now we've established a board of operations, so basically you have to align the schedule with different things coming down the pipes, including policy review and budget review. There's also fitness facility committee meetings that which I learned about that are actually responsible for fitness for health for all campuses. So I know Sexton, for example, has a lot of resources going towards it. Make sure that other campuses are remembered as well, and students are part of the discussion on how that money is spent, right? So there's a DASA petition action plan. So people, well, I don't know, folks must remember the incident that took place at the grad house, and so essentially I've committed to follow up on that, right? So I mean, things are slow in the summer. People aren't really around to meet, but come September, I hope to. Well, I'm still during the summer trying to reach out to individuals, but come September, I want to get the working group going so we can actually follow up on some of the petitions, action items with the DASA petition. And reaching out to other student unions and leaders, so building relationships with Atlantic student unions and those outside the Maritimes. A couple of them have come by, and we hope to reach out to others as part of our own outreach process. So this is a very brief version of my detailed action plan, which I'll send out to you folks in the package. I apologize if it was very dry, and if I went really fast. Now, were people able to follow what I was saying half the time? I hope they were. If not, please email me, meet with me, right? So, or even just ask me questions via email, right? If there's anything you need clarification on, if there's anything you'd like me to work on, if there's things you think I'm wasting my time on, let me know, right? This is why I'm doing this. So, thanks. Any questions?
Do we have time for questions? Yeah. 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 Okay. Any questions for Rams on that? Yeah, Taylor.
You mentioned Senate caucus and stuff, but that hasn't actually started yet or really formed yet. So when do you think roughly stuff like that will get going?
Oh, sorry, my apologies. We actually had meetings. Well, I think you were in Cuba at the time or something like that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we actually had meetings with Mr. Bucci and Ali Khalidin, and so we have regular meetings, but we need to have a large Senate caucus meeting. Not everybody's back at the table, right? So, yeah, absolutely.
So, like, when will that kind of
Oh, we should give you a deadline. Yeah. Yeah. It's actually probably going to cover that in her VP.
Okay. Other questions for Rams? No? Okay. Now Jim. 90-day plan. VPI. B. Right? Yeah. Oh no. People are confused.
Okay, so Rams mentioned that we're going to send out a whole package with all of them. I'm just going to give you a breakdown of a few points under mine, and then if you have any questions when you get the package out, I think that'll be a lot easier. I was trying to write this up today, and there's a lot to pack into a small document. So some things that I've been working on and are trying to work on for the next 90 days are policy. We have a backup of policy that we've been going through quite diligently. You've seen the policy schedule of how we want to pass everything or change things, whatever. So that's going to be going around, and that's something we're working on. Societies, there's been a lot of work around ratification. We have almost 300 societies now, so the SRC has been really hard at work, and myself and Holly have been really hard at work with that. We're having an issue right now with university clubs that we're trying to work through with our insurance, and so that's taken up a lot of time, and that's something that we're going to have to figure out really soon. The grants committee, we've been happily giving out grants, and there's still some money left. Residence council, we have a new residence that's being built, and so organizing things for residence councils where it's often first years coming in and they don't have things set up like other societies do. So making sure that they're getting their money on time and are aware of how to do their audits and are actually setting up a council. That's something that we need to work through. Society Carnival. This is a good one. The Levied Society support. We're hosting monthly meetings with the Levied societies to get more feedback and communication with those groups so that we can expand the core of the union. So that's something that we've all been working, or that I've been working on with the Levied societies. We've also changed the society training. RAM started to do this last year, and so we've created it so that there's multiple trainings in one long training day, or at one point it was a weekend, and this makes it more accessible to people. So they're held at different times, and there's times when societies can just request a training. and we can set that up for them. Society access card is going to be an easier way for societies to use campus copy, get projectors, use the popcorn machine, things like that. So that's in the works right now. And it'll just be like a little access card that people will have the billing information on. And so if you ever need access to these things, instead of having to look up the society and go through a lot of the paperwork that exists right now, it'll just be faster. The E&A office, we are currently hiring the research and grievance coordinator. So we've gone through interviews over the last couple days, and that'll be hired by Monday. And then we'll be putting out the job description for the campaign and outreach coordinator. We're also drafting the committee policy for the E&A committee. So you'll be seeing that once the committee policy comes through. As Rams mentioned, we hired a graphic designer, so that's all taken care of. And we're having discussions right now about how the graphic designer can also serve our societies. So that's something that will be coming up. Orientation week, in terms of bringing the society, bringing societies in to make sure that everyone's really engaged and that first years find out about the societies early, and bringing the app into it. The Sexton Advisory Committee has been meeting regularly, and that's going strong. We've been doing some work around that. The food bank, we managed to get it open for the summer. We have some volunteers going. That's really nice. We've ordered a fridge, and so that's going to be coming soon. So it means that our food bank will have fresh produce soon. And also, there's been conversations with Tim's about giving us the muffins at the end of the day, like any of their leftover stuff that will also go in the food bank. So that's really exciting. Sorry, there's just a lot in it. We are getting some upgrades to the website. Nothing fancy, nothing's changing, no new technology, just very basic things that'll make it a bit more user-friendly. Trying to organize monthly town halls. So we have a barbecue. You would have noticed in the council package, there's an announcement for a barbecue at the end of, or on the 17th of this month. And so we're going to organize monthly town halls. So we're setting up a schedule for that. And these picnics are kind of the beginning of it, to build a culture of getting together once a month. I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, please, there's plenty more that I'm working on. And you'll see more of it in the report that we send out. And feel free to email me with anything as well.
Any questions for Jen? No? Thanks, Jen. Jacqueline.
In the same spirit as what Jen just presented, I am going to send everything out to you guys via email, and what I have now is just an email to myself of all the biggest things that I've been working on and will be working on over the next 90 days. This 90-day plan comes at a funny point, because when we first started these positions, we were supposed to do a 90-day plan, 4 of them throughout the year. So we're kind of at the end of the first one and just before the beginning of the second one, so it's sort of a transition period. The first thing I have on here is the Academic and External Affairs Committee. Put this pretty plainly, research is my jam. That's basically the most exciting thing for me, and that's what I love about this position. As I pointed out before, I have all of this policy that this committee has done over the past, this is about the past 5 years, but it goes back for at least 2 decades. Looking into the policy the committee did, so that going forward it can be a very useful committee, produce policy, and so that we can really pay attention to procedure and do what the Constitution tells us to do, because in a number of ways it makes a bit of sense and it does provide a pretty useful framework. A lot of my time over the past 2 months has been that. It's just been research. Under the Academic External Affairs Committee, my first idea is to set the committee priorities at the first 2 meetings. As I mentioned, the first committee meeting I'm hoping for the 21st, 22nd of July, depending upon availability, and to commit to plan a committee retreat for brainstorming. Most committees, like big ones or like generally big groups within the DSU, do retreats so that the students have a chance to get to know each other, spit out ideas, and start working together really fluidly. Faculty society meetings are intended to hear from each society and gather concerns. Consultation is key. So meeting with each faculty society as VPIE so I can hear what everybody has to say, kind of make it coherent, and then present something that maybe people want to work with. That's pretty much my job. I don't make the ideas myself. I take yours, amalgamate them to the best of my ability and bring something back to you that hopefully is workable. Senate. The Senate caucus, in conjunction with the A&E committee, are to set the student priorities for the upcoming year. So the A&E committee actually is what works on the priorities for senators. Senate caucus is actually just the student senators sitting down, talking to each other, and kind of like learning how to work with each other. The A&E committee is what says, hey, our faculty has absolutely no money. This isn't happening. We need new full-time professors. We need you guys to take this to Senate so that this happens for us. Or I'm in a faculty, I'm gonna use engineering because last year that was the one that I got to speak to the dean about. We have our classes in a movie theater. It's not working for us. Or there are 500 of us and there really only should be about maybe 110. That's not flowing. What can you guys do? And that's something that we would take to Senate and raise our hands. And when we say, hey, on behalf of students in the Faculty of Engineering and a number of other faculties, I know Arts and Social Sciences, it's pretty similar. This isn't okay. This is unacceptable. You guys have to fix this. What do we do? I've been researching. That's what Senate does, right? That's why I wanted to be in this position. This is the modus operandi for making those things happen. That's my goal. I'm going to get really, really into a number of things that I'm saying and might get slightly off track. One of the things for Senate, one of my hopes that's carrying on from the past few years is having a representative from each faculty so that we have a student directly there with the concerns, bringing them to the Senate, bringing them to the table. That's something to discuss at caucus. That's something to discuss in the A&E committee. Academic internal affairs, another thing, the memorandum of understanding. That's something that we have as university systems with the provincial government. It's coming up this year, and the plan is to work with a timeline that was disseminated at the last Student Government Roundtable. Those are roundtables that the government kind of holds for students every once in a while. The major universities sit at them, and so do the major student lobbying groups within the province. They disseminated a timetable for when the government's going to work on it. That's something that I'd really like to include in my report to you guys for the 90 days, just so everyone has a copy of it and an understanding of how these things work. Council should play a part in the messaging, and the union needs to have a strong voice in this issue. This memorandum of understanding dictates a lot about how the university is able to function financially over the next few years. DAL United is another thing I've been looking into, assembling everything around the student group and assessing its place within the union. This likely includes the hard-earned and highly valuable connection with university faculty, the DFA, and staff, meaning like on-campus labor unions. The Halifax Student Association is another student group that I've been researching. It was formed about 5 years ago. All the universities basically in Metro Halifax working together. And there's a number of things that were attached to that that actually were pretty cool. They dealt a lot with transportation issues, just like Metro Transit. Speaker and workshop series being planned. The first one is in conjunction with the DFA, and I think that's going to be September 23rd. Apart from that, there's a number of workshops to oriented to students' needs and concerns, including course program diversity, university academic, recognizing that there are academic resources available for students. The workshops could align with concerns as they'd be addressed in the Senate committees so that there is a direct course of action to take on deliverables that might arise. Orientation week, that's something that I also hope the A&E committee could kind of take a part in. There isn't much paid academically, as much attention paid academically during orientation week. That's always put on the faculty societies. I sat on the faculty society last year. It was very much one person trying to make the whole thing happen, and you can't expect them to be able to say all the academic things that come up. So I'd really like to see those issues kind of play a part. We are here first and foremost as students, and I'd really like that to play out in orientation and for students to know that they have those resources available that they need. University admin, meeting with Carolyn. Carolyn Waters is the Vice President Academic and Provost for the university. She's wonderful and helps me and lets me know about the big changes showing up within the university over the next year so that we can plan our internal advocacy accordingly, and so that I can disseminate that information to you. I've also been sitting in on hirings going forward, and as I said, a lot of this has been research. I could speak to advocacy briefly if I haven't already kind of touched on it within those couple of things. One more thing that wasn't in that email. Amalgamation has been one of my big issues to do with the agricultural campus and looking back on the way that the Technical University of Nova Scotia was amalgamated with Dalhousie. It wasn't done in a way that I think at this point has kind of preserved enough the autonomy of that campus, which I think has become a problem. and doesn't really, it's not, I don't know how to phrase this properly, I'm working on something for this. Amalgamation has to be done right. The university is having its own problems doing it. They can't figure it out. Our model was imperfect, but practical, and very much something that up to this point has worked really well, and something that I think we have the opportunity to improve upon when working with the agricultural campus. And I think the best thing to do, the best thing that I found to do, is to look back on the way it's been done before. And to work with the university. The way that they're implementing changes is probably the way that we should implement changes as well. And it relies very much on all of us to kind of appreciate that it's a process. I would hope that both sides understand that, and that you kind of respect the fact that they are their own campus and there are a lot of changes going on and it's confusing, and we need to be welcoming and accommodating at the same time. So as I said in the beginning, research is my jam, and that's been taking up a lot of my time in prepping for the upcoming year. And consultation is definitely the next step once we have students back.
Questions for Jacqueline? Great, thank you. And finally, VPFO. 90-day plan. Last of the presentations. And then reports.
So it's a one page, only few words. I'll start with that. The lots of things I'm doing over the last 90 days or the incoming 90 days is not there. Because they're all day-to-day things, and every transaction in DSU starts with me and ends with me. So that takes most of my time, because everything, I have a PO, whatever is in the budget or not, approve that. So then at the end, the check comes to me, whether it's written properly, approve it. So most of my time engaging in the background of this job. So that being said, and another part of it is all the executives were doing as a team, so not individually we are trying to attain something. Every achievement of my things, all the executives are sharing this, and vice versa. Even if any executive is doing anything, I think most of there is nothing that is detached with finance, right? So all the executives doing all the good things, I think I have at least a very little share of that, because I'm helping them making everything right financially and from the budget perspective. And apart from that, I'm heading the nominating committee. We have already nominated the judicial board and the board of ops, so that's done. And there are something to come in the next 90 days, maybe the CRO and some other stuff is coming. But I'd like to remind you, today is July 9th, and just 90 days before, April 9th, I was here. Some of the council was there. I was trying to convince you to give me the position. And after 90 days, what is my impression about that? So in my 90 days plan, there is something common. Yes, I talked about the budget review. I talked about the society audit. I talked about the food service. I talked about the South innovation at that day. So I'm now updating what I have done last 90 days, or what the team did for this perspective in 90 days, what we're planning to do. About the budget review, in the very first meeting of the council in the May, we formed a committee, and you already know that I will put forward a motion to extend the tenure of the committee, because sorry that at that point of time, in the first week in my job, I didn't understand that budget review is a very vast, versatile thing, and we need more time. And apart from that, we started the review with few departments. It's in my report. You can see which departments are giving the first round. And another point of the success of the budget, we want to include most of the part of the students. So we need some student consultation, maybe around September. So include that. We'd like to review the budget and set the trend, because what happened in the last few years, the budget was reviewed internally. internally by the staff and the executives, and it was presented in the council in November to approve. But this year, this budget review will take place. The committee will look into it, will get a student consultation, and of course, it will be a more improved model for the budget review. And it will lead us to prepare the next year's budget, because when we prepare the next year's budget, we will have more information and more involvement in the council and of course the general populations. So I think I'm leading that, but the whole team is with me. We're doing that good, and you can trust on us. The second thing I'm very excited about, the society audit, because that is the part I'm leading myself individually. Because last time I spoke about it, lots of society have their problems in their audit. Yes, they had. So what I did, I get a special special chance for the societies who fail their audit in the winter, in the early May, that they can submit their books so that they can pass their audits. And some societies take this opportunity, and of course their books were not in good shape, and they consulted with me several times. I helped them, and of course they passed. That's a good achievement. And it's of course this ongoing process, because I want all the societies to pass their audit in the very fast time. As you know, the summer audit due is July 11. So if all the level one society and level society, your book is good, submit. If you have any problem, just contact me. We'll discuss and find the way that you will pass the audit in the very fast time. Because it's not it's waste of your time and my time going through the audit process twice, thrice, or four. So let's fix all things beforehand, and I will be happy to pass the audit for all society for the very first time. I think it will happen. Some of the societies have submitted their book for the summer audit, and I'd like to remind you, summer audit is not mandatory. But if you have summer events and if you want to apply for get that summer money now, you can apply for the audit. But if you're okay, you can apply. You must submit your book in the fall, so that is September 12th. But if your book are ready, you can apply in July 11th deadline. And sub renovation, I think it's another team project where Ramj is heading it. But my part is I'm doing the finance part, how to looking into university and what are the finance model best fit for that. So I'm heading that part of this sub renovation project. Food service is of course a collective thing of us, and we have lots of concern around it. We are considering a self-op model, whether we can move into a self-operated model that DSU will operate the whole food service within short period of time. We're looking into the proposal and probability of that. And at some point of time, maybe we need council input on that, but we're working which model is better to evaluate the present model and whether it's feasible to go to a self-op model or not. We're working on that. It's a collective project. And the Tiger Patrol, yes, most of the students are happy with the Tiger Patrol, but there are some concerns also. So we are actually, some of you might have don't know, we own the van, but the drivers, they're paid by the Dal Security. So it's a collaboration between DSU and Dalhousie University. So that have some good things and some bad things also. Good things is that we're sharing the cost with university, and bad thing is that at some point there is a problem of the governance. But we're doing well. We're having regular meetings with Dal Security appointed person and trying to figure out the problems and concerns, and we're trying to develop a feedback system that if a student had a complaint, how they can complain and how we can deal with that. And we have a recent incident of an insurance problem with a driver who is a Dalhousie student, and DSU has support those students, and fortunately of us, we give her maximum support that she's good, and we solve the problem in our end. So nothing to be concerned about that. And about the orientation, yes, I'm working at the back end of the orientation. Mostly the registration part. Registration has opened in 3rd July. And this year the registration package is $100 plus 15% VAT is $115 per students. And we're expecting 1,700 students in the orientation minimum. That is in the budget. And all the contract is going on. We're approving the contracts with the artists and with the sponsors, dealing with that. And of course, having the logistic supports with the production side and others. So I'm working in the back end. I think Danny our VP student life is leading the orientation. All executives are working. I'm doing the finance part of it. And the society support, I think, for my understanding, this year will be good for the society because all executives are very cooperative and helpful to the society. How society can get service better, we're all concerned about it. So I'm doing my part on it, how to make the societies more support them in every aspect. So if you have any suggestion that a DSU resource can be used for society's purpose, you can put it forward to not only me, to the whole executives. We can look into it because we have some ideas to support the society, but if the societies have their own thinking that this way DSU can support us more, we can look into it also. And the last thing, of course, section campus. I'm a section campus student, and this year I think the section, thanks to Jomel, the section campus advisory committee is running very well. We have regular meetings, and lots of issues being discussed. And I think this year section students, section campus students will be happy with this effort, and we'll have a. Already we have done some improvement within this year. In the capital project meeting, we approved big amount of money for section improvement, and of course a lot more is coming. So it's one of our concern as a team, and of course mine as I'm a section student. Apart from that, I think this 90-day was kind of start for me because Ram's already experience of 1 year of this position, but I'm new. But I think I'm hopeful that not only me, the team is doing very well, and the executive team need your full support, the council support, to have a very great year of 2014-15. I think we'll have that. And is the time up? Is the time signal? Yes. I can go on, but I don't know. There should be 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, yeah. It's been 5 minutes.
Okay, I thought there will be time signal. So is there any question?
Doing great.
Yes.
What?
Can I know how much amount of money totally you are like spending on section campus this year?
Good question.
Actually, in our budget line, section campus gets money from different sources. We have one budget for section office that deals with the official management. We have one budget for section programming that deals with section programming, events in section. Other than that, we have tea room budget that deals with the tea room. And apart from that, in our main budget, we can allocate even from the capital project we use for renovation of sub and other facilities. So section office including that. So I can give you the numbers, but in total, it will be very difficult to say because those three things are fixed for section. But in the other budget, there are also budget line for section. For example, even orientation, there is a budget line for section orientation. So there is programming, whole year programming, there is a budget line for section programming. And but it's a good question. Maybe we're trying to prepare a chart for the whole budget. That there is a common question from the students. We're giving $120, how it is spent. So the question raised from even from general students, not from the counselors. So we're looking into it, and I think if we can make this chart easily understandable for the students, then they can know how much is going to section. That will be very good, and I think you can prepare that.
Any other questions?
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I have one thing to what? Are you going to give a report? All right. No, we're not doing the reports. No, you're not going to say anything? Okay, perfect. All right. So the executive reports, which we have from every executive this time, I think. Yeah. Well done. They're quite lengthy and were sent out in advance. So please take the time to read them. And then let's move on. What's up?
If anybody has any, again, if anybody has any questions on our reports, this is the time to ask. There's a lot of detailed stuff in there, but you know, if anything came up.
Oh, sure, we can take questions. Yeah, Taylor.
The
Yeah.
town $80,000 for renovation. Why wasn't that like known about or like?
What? No, that's completely no. Let's actually read what I wrote in my report, which is not that. Now, there's a $85,000 capital expenditures fund, yes, which capital projects fund, which I found out about this year, like because essentially this is a committee that handles um improvements to the sub and basically DSU administered space. The money is used for big expenses. For example, like with a lot of our food services, like like HVAC machines and stuff, they cost tens of thousands of dollars. So the money has been used in the past. My concern is that this money is actually I think it's actually enough for us to address or for us to actually spread it out and distribute among other our other spaces that we administer across our campuses. And I also want to increase student participation in this the decisions that are made by this committee. So it's not like we just found out about it. It's just that nobody thought to actually use the committee this way, which is what's surprising to me. And so this year we want to really make it participatory.
Okay, any other questions on any of the executive reports? Okay, great. There's no unfinished business from the last meeting, so moving on to the first item of new business, which is an item for decision. It's a motion to extend the deadline of the Budget Review Committee, moved by our Vice President, Financial and Operations. Does the motion, which is in the agenda, have a seconder? Seconded by Jamel. The motion is, whereas the Budget Review Committee is in the process of conducting departmental reviews, and whereas the BRC intends to hold student budget consultations in the fall, be it resolved that the BRC shall report its findings to Council in October. Boo, do you want to speak to it?
Yes. As I've mentioned, the budget committee is reviewing the first round of the departments, and it's my lack of knowledge at the formal committee that it should not be could not be done within 2 months. So I set the timeline. It was not proposed by anyone else. So I thought it could be done in 2 months. So July was the timeline for that, but now I understand it's not possible. And second thing that we want to have student consultation, so it's more appropriate in September. So I want the council to extend the timeline to October so that we can review the budget properly for the students' interest.
Is there further debate on the motion? Okay, once again, the motion is, whereas the Budget Review Committee is in the process of conducting departmental reviews, and whereas the BRC intends to hold student budget consultations in the fall, be it resolved that the BRC shall report its findings to Council in October. Would those in favor of the motion please raise your hands? Would those opposed to the motion please raise your hands? The motion is adopted. Fantastic. Now moving on to items for discussion. First and foremost, the location and date of our next meeting. Rams?
Yes. Announcement or discussion? What did you say?
Sorry?
What did you say? Did you say discussion or announcement? This was
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
this
that's
is,
that's my mistake.
That was a misnomer. This is actually an announcement I'd like to make. The next, remember our July 30th meeting? At the last meeting we discussed whether council would like to have the health professions or in Carleton. So we're not going to move forward with the health professions lounge on July 30th. I'd just like to make an announcement that details of how to actually access the lounge will be sent via email to all council. But essentially, there is a special after-hours access, in the dentistry building that is only through the College Street entrance only. And we'll send all this information out. But the point is that we'll be having our July 30th council meeting on the 4th floor of the dentistry building.
Okay, so our first item for actual discussion, the revised policy review schedule.
Yes, let's circulate this document. So here's the thing, folks. Apologize for, I know it's like pretty late at night. I don't want to tax anybody's, I don't want to confuse people too much, but the schedule that I sent out via email, it said like, this is pending, Bob scheduling and, other things that may come up. So things did come up. So this is the latest version of the schedule which you have before you, and it will also be sent to you electronically. The date's on it, July 9th. So please ignore the one that you received in your council packages. Now this is this is essentially the plan that we have for a policy review, and then how it'll be and basically thanks to our feedback that we got from you guys last council meeting, there's a three-step process we're taking: dissemination, discussion, and decision. The 3 Ds. And basically what we're trying to do is trying to make it digestible over 3 rounds that'll go all the way till October. And I mean, we're trying to stick to these timelines. Please, keep in mind that we're going to do our best to meet them. But now we account for staff vacation. We've accounted for Bob's meetings as well. Hopefully, rain or shine, like we'll try to stick to this. But if there's any concerns councillors have, they want to discuss, maybe some policy should be brought up earlier in an earlier round. Maybe they should be delayed. Maybe there's some concerns with the timeline. Then this is the time to have that discussion. Otherwise, we'll be moving forward with implementing this plan.
So did you want to give everyone a minute to read it, and then just do a couple minutes for questions and then move on? Yeah, cool. We'll just give everyone a few minutes to read it.
Yeah, the only reason why this might be different from the one online primarily is because of the dates. Yes. So I mean, if you already read the one online, then the description should be the same. And there's also a note from our policy manager at the end.
Consider.
So yeah, we'll just give people a few minutes to read it over and just if there's any questions.
Yeah. 60 seconds. Okay, feel free to keep reading, but we'll ask if there's any questions on the revised policy review schedule that maybe Rams can answer. Any questions? Okay, then feel free to keep reading, but I think we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, just want to keep in mind, like this is like policy review was one line in my 90-day plan, but it is very important. So I mean, this might take this will take a lot of council's time in the coming months. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
So get ready. And finally, travel cuts.
Yes, this is a Q&A session. Just like to just brief you on what the situation is. So travel cuts has moved out, as people have already seen. If you've ever been to the basement, they've been generous enough to compensate us for any time lost. But so essentially that gives us a bit of time to find a new, I guess, new replacement for that space downstairs. There have been some suggestions, like for example, our vice president suggested a society space or study space. And there's also some ideas around a pharmacy, around like a convenience store. But the point is, we plan to roll out a consultation process where, according to our procurement policy, like we want to follow the same model where we will actually just reach out and see what possibilities there are, and we'll have a process by which when students come back in the fall, they can also give feedback on what they want to see downstairs, and we'll do that through polling, through surveys, and also through consultations. But in the meantime, if you want to disseminate to your members that if there's any sort of, just let them know that this is the case, and we'll be following up with more concrete proposals shortly.
Any questions on that? Yeah, William. If you can,
I'll give my speaker rights.
Sure. Without objection.
I'm just wondering if since travel cuts moves out, how does this influence the renovation plans? Because the renovation plans were still having travel cuts be a thing, weren't they? So how is that influencing that?
Well, yeah, it was the space will be the same because it was going to be untouched in the renovations, so we can. No, but whatever new use we find will have to be in that current space, so no modification will take place to that space. Oh well, from footprint-wise, internally, of course, yeah.
Other questions about the travel cuts situation? None.
Just a little brief update. We'll have more for you in the coming months.
Okay, super. Moving on to notices of motion. I have a notice of motion from Hannah Klug. Hannah Klug. It's a notice of motion to amend the Advocacy Planning Committee 2014-15 terms of reference. Whereas the Dalhousie Student Union has failed to meet the timeline outlined in the creation of the Advocacy Planning Committee 2014-15, and whereas the membership status of the Dalhousie Students Union in the Canadian Alliance of Students Associations has changed since the creation of the Advocacy Planning Committee 2014. Is that a typo? It says 2014-16. It should say 15. 2014-15. Be it resolved that the terms of reference of the Advocacy Planning Committee be amended as circulated, and that's also was in the council package with track changes on. So notice is hereby given that motion will be presented at the next council meeting. Perfect. Moving on to announcements. Oh, Checkmate? Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
In spirit of all fairness to all the campuses, to represent Carleton a bit, I was actually invited by Dr. Bayless, who, if anyone knows, is a CRC for bioethics and philosophy. She's holding a symposium where she created a group called Novel Tech Ethics, and they're going to be hosting a symposium on the Dow campus on the 23rd of September. I was emailed to see if anyone interested in something like novel tech ethics, interested in philosophy, interested in medicine, in the way that ethics plays into the practice of medicine. I'm going to it. It sounds like a fascinating symposium, and I would hope that other students would attend as well. Like I said, it covers a very, very broad range of things, but does relate most directly to medicine and philosophy. I'm going to not pass around right now, but I'm going to disseminate the email that I was sent, and if you have an interest, let me know, and you'll have access to the symposium. And we can go as a group, you can go separately, tell other people about it. It would just be great to have representation there from students.
Okay, there's an announcement that on July 17th, there will be a DSU picnic, which is open to all members from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the DSU amphitheater.
What is members?
Of the union?
Yeah, anybody, students.
Students? Yeah. Free food in collaboration with the Loaded Ladle. John, you want? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add, yeah, please come out. Please tell everyone. We're going to have a Facebook event up soon and posters and that. Also, the Loaded Ladle, we're doing a solidarity serving with them, and so we do need folks to come out to help cook food. And so if you're available to do that or you know people that are, if you can send me an email, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll see you from 11 to 1 on the 17th.
What's the what? What's the rain plan?
Then we eat in the rain.
Okay. Yep.
Just two last quick announcements. The TEDx positions are online, but we want wider reach. So please encourage your friends to apply. Please let your constituencies know that these positions are up. They're at dsu.ca/jobs. An email will be sent out as well, but we wanted to emphasize that. The second thing is actually Dr. Bonnie Newman is retiring. Yeah. So her retirement reception is tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. Next week, July 16th. Did I get the day right? July 16th at 4 p.m. in the University Club. So an email will be sent out to let council know about this, but ultimately everyone is invited. All students are invited. So please let your constituencies know. This is an individual I feel who's done a lot for students, and she's been a champion for a very long time. So I think we should, be with her in her final moments at Dal. So Sorry? Yes, and there's also a photo shoot at 3:15 shortly before the 4 p.m. reception. So if you want to join the photo shoot and just like, take some last photos, not selfies,
Photo
but like
with
last
Bonnie.
photos with her, you can do so.
Any other new business? Okay. I said you could do it next time. Yeah. Those in favor of adjourning, please raise your hands. Those opposed to adjourning, please raise your hands. This meeting is adjourned. If you are a proxy who's not like a one-time proxy, like you're the summer proxy for someone, or